Your app is beautiful. You click the button, it works. You click it again, still works. You show your friend, they click it, perfect. So you ship it, feeling like a genius. And then 1,000 strangers show up and they start clicking things in an order you never imagined on devices you've never even heard of, typing nonsense into boxes you assumed nobody would touch. And your beautiful app folds up like a house of cards. Here's the brutal truth nobody warns you about. A demo that works once and software that survives real people are two completely different things. This video is about the 5 skills that bridge that exact gap. Call it the survival kit, the 5 things that keep your app from falling apart. We've already covered directing the AI and the foundations underneath the code. This is what keeps the whole thing standing once real humans get their hands on it. Because your users will absolutely do things you never planned for. So these 5 skills are the difference between an app that bends and an app that snaps in half. Skill 1, actually reading your errors. Here's what nobody tells beginners. When your app crashes, it doesn't just die in silence, it leaves you a note, a long, scary looking wall of red text. And most people, the second they see it, panic and paste the whole thing into the AI without reading a single word of it. But that red text is not gibberish. It's a detective's report. It tells you what went wrong, and this is the gold. Right here, exactly where it happened, usually right at the very top. Think of it as a trail of clues leading straight back to the scene of the crime. You do not need to understand every line. You just need to read the top, find the address of the problem, and now you can point the AI directly at it, instead of forcing it to guess. The people who squash bugs fast aren't smarter than you. They just actually read the note. Skill 2, handling failure on purpose. See, things will go wrong. That's not pessimism, it's a guarantee. The internet drops. A user types nonsense into a box. A service you depend on goes down for a minute. The question was never whether your app hits a problem. It's what happens next. Bad apps just vanish. White screen. No explanation. The user has no idea what happened, and honestly, neither do you. Good apps catch the fall. Like a safety net stretched under a trapeze artist, they catch the error, gracefully and calmly say, "Oops, something went wrong. Please try again." Instead of collapsing entirely. And then there's its quiet partner, logging. Picture logging like the black box flight recorder on an airplane. It quietly writes down what your app was doing right before things went sideways, so that later, when a user tells you it crashed, you're not standing there guessing in the dark. You open the recorder and you see exactly what happened. So the rule is this: fail loudly on the inside where you can see it. Never, ever fail silently. Skill 3, and this is the one everyone skips because it feels boring. Testing. Here's the trap. You build a feature, you click it once, it works, and your brain happily announces, "Great, that's done forever." But "it worked when I clicked it once" is simply not the same thing as "it works." Real software gets changed constantly, and every single change risks quietly breaking something you already fixed last week. That's exactly where tests come in. A test is just a tiny automatic check that clicks the button for you and screams the instant something breaks. Picture a quality control inspector standing at the end of an assembly line, checking every product before it goes out the door. Except this inspector never sleeps, never gets bored, and rechecks your entire app in seconds, every time you change a thing. You don't have to test every corner, but the moment your app does something that really matters, like taking someone's money, you want a tireless robot guarding that part like a hawk. Skill 4, managing state. Now, state is just a slightly nerdy word for what your app knows right now. Who's logged in, what's in the shopping cart, whether that little menu is open or closed. And here is where things get messy fast. If different parts of your app each keep their own separate copy of that information, they start to disagree with each other. The screen proudly shows 3 items in your cart, but the actual order only has 2. The button says you're logged out while the app still thinks you're logged in. That maddening, why does it say one thing over here and something different over there? Bug. That is a state problem almost every time, and the fix is a rule the professionals live by. Keep one single source of truth. Picture one big shared whiteboard that every part of your app reads from and writes to. Not 100 little sticky notes scattered everywhere, each showing a slightly different number. One whiteboard. Everybody looks at the same one. When your data has a single home, it finally stops arguing with itself. And skill 5, the one you genuinely cannot afford to get wrong: authentication and authorization. They sound almost identical, but they're two very different jobs. And the easiest way to feel the difference is to picture a nightclub. Authentication is the bouncer at the front door checking your identification. It answers exactly one question: are you actually who you say you are? That right there is your login. Authorization is a different job entirely. It's the wristband they snap on you once you're inside. It decides which rooms you're allowed into. The regular crowd stays on the main floor. Only the wristband gets you into the private section. So authentication is, can you come in at all? And authorization is, all right, now what are you actually allowed to touch? Mix these two up and you end up with an app where any random guest can stroll straight into the private room and start messing with everyone else's stuff. And that isn't just a bug. That's a headline with your name in it. So let's pull it together. Read your errors, catch your failures, test the stuff that matters, keep one source of truth, and guard your doors. And do you see the pattern running through all 5? Every single one of them is really about the same idea: assuming something will go wrong and being ready for it when it does. A beginner builds for the perfect world, where every user behaves and nothing ever fails. A real developer builds for the actual world, where users are pure chaos and everything fails eventually. And the AI, left to its own devices, will cheerfully build you the perfect world version. It writes code that works beautifully when everything goes right, but keeping it from falling apart when things go wrong, that part is still firmly on you. Because building an app that works is the easy part. Building one that refuses to fall apart is the entire job.